if you wish to start recording, you can do so, okay? So we have 24 persons now in the meeting. Thank you all for attending this meeting of the first pilot of the project CyberSANE. So in this meeting, I will start by going very fast through the agenda. I will present the consortium and the partners. I will do a very quick overview of the project and then another brief view of the status of the project. So this will be our agenda. We are starting now with the CyberSANE overview. Then we will have a training session and we will start after that the pilot execution. Regarding the project and the partners that compose the consortium, the project runs from 2019 until this year, at the end of August 2022. So it's a 36 months project. And there are 16 partners from all over Europe working together to advance this project. Also, there are 3 end users in the area of port, health and energy that are going to test our system precisely in the pilots that we are now starting to execute from February. This is just a brief overview of the work package leaders. So we have 11 areas of work, and these are the leaders for each of those areas of work. So it's very diverse, and it's a project where everybody has to work together in a team. Otherwise, we couldn't do it by ourselves. Regarding the project overview, so we have a bird's view here, a high-level approach to the project. So the CyberSANE system wishes to implement all the phases of the cyber incident handling life cycle, from the preparatory activities to handling the incidents, to detect the incidents, to do some forensics and analysis, and then to aid in the recovery and in the knowledge harvesting after the incidents have taken place. This system also aims to increase the agility of the investigators that are analyzing the cyber incidents. We rely on existing systems and tools. We have worked on them to evolve them even more. So we have security sensors, we have components of web mining and intelligent solutions, event management approaches. So it's a group of components that we have working together, and that is the richness of CyberSANE. We also have a modular approach, so we can in the future integrate other modules in our system. We also are working in techniques of prevention, detection and mitigation of cyber threats, including the use of advanced visualization techniques. There is a system that is composed of several main components. So we have LiveNet for monitoring the traffic on a network. We have DarkNet to scan and monitor the dark web. We have HybridNet for data mining and analysis. And then we have ShareNet to share details and information about the cyber incidents. And that information is anonymized through PrivacyNet so that it can be shared without revealing internal details of the institutions where the cyber incidents first are detected. So now going to a bit more into the components that comprise CyberSANE. We have the LiveNet to monitor, analyze, and visualize the organization's network in real time. Then we have Darknet to monitor the dark and deep web. We have HybridNet, as I said, that receives information from LiveNet and Darknet and then proceeds to analyze and evaluate the threats to the organization. We also have ShareNet, the component that disseminates and shares information of incidents with other relevant parties that are configured to receive this kind of information. And the PrivacyNet is the component that provides the privacy, anonymization, obfuscation, and then also the capabilities of data protection, orchestration, and consistency. So these are the 5 components that make up CyberSANE, our system. Regarding the structure of the project, so at the beginning we had the user requirements and the reference scenarios that were defined in work package 2. After that, we proceeded to the analysis, specifications, and the implementation of the 5 components that constitute CyberSANE, from work package 3 to work package 7. And now we are in the phase of the pilot. So before the pilots, we have been working on the integration and the deployment of the CyberSANE system, aggregating all the components. That was done in work package 8. And now we are starting the execution of the pilots that have been prepared since the beginning of work package 9. On work package 10, we will evaluate and define best practices for CyberSANE after getting the lessons learned from the pilots. And finally, we also have the work package 11, which focuses on the dissemination, the exploitation, and the market approach after we finish the project, where we will address the market with the CyberSANE system. Okay, regarding the work plan, just to give you a view of these 3 years of the project. In the first year, year 1, we launched CyberSANE. We defined objectives, we defined requirements, the architecture, and we started the plan for dissemination and communication. In the second year, our focus was on developing the components, and at the end, we started working in the full integration and the preparation of the pilots. Right now, we are in the 3rd year of the project, and we are actively executing the pilot for now and validating their results. And from them, we will evaluate the capabilities and the correctness and the coverage of CyberSANE. And we will take our lessons from what needs still to be evolved, and how we will make the system ready for the market. Okay, these pilots, they focus on healthcare, on energy, and in the transport sector. Today, we are starting with the first pilot precisely in the transport sector, with the pilot taking place at the Valenciaport Foundation. Okay, so this is our small presentation regarding the project. I will go back to the agenda, and after the presentation, we will start the platform training session, okay, with my colleague Tanush Karantikas. So I will stop for now, Thanos, are you ready to proceed?
Yes. Good
Okay.
morning, everybody. Thank you, George. I will share my screen also. Actually, my presentation consists of two different parts. The first part is very quick. We will go through again the five components, critical components that consist the CyberSANE platform. I will be very quick on this, and then we will elaborate on the CyberSANE architecture, the system architecture, and then we will go the second part at viewing and going through the actual system, the CyberSANE system, as it is in its first version right now. Give me 1 minute. I hope that now you are able to see my full screen. Okay, this is something that George already presented, but I would like to emphasize a little more on this. It is critical to understand that actually the CyberSANE platform is a meta tool that comes to help security professionals and security analysts to better and properly handle security incidents within their critical infrastructure. Therefore, the CyberSANE system consists, as George said, from 5 different main components. The first one is the LiveNet. The LiveNet is the component capable of preventing and detecting threats, providing actually to security professional insights and a track record of the activities within their information technology environment. So this is achieved by collecting in an organized manner, implementing specific tools within the inventory of the critical infrastructure. We can collect event data from systems such as installed devices, networks, storages, and streaming protocols. And the LiveNet component serves as the interface between the underlying critical infrastructure and the CyberSANE platform, combining security information and event management functions into the security management system. This is actually the purpose of the LiveNet. Going one step further, we have the darknet. The darknet in CyberSANE actually allows the exploitation and analysis of security risks and threats, related information from the deep and dark web. So the security professional is able, based on the real events identified from LiveNet, to further expand search capabilities and look what is happening and what is the situation of these events in the deep and dark web. This is realized via the analysis of both the textual and the metadata content available from various electronic streams, and by analyzing threat actor communication in dark web communities. This enables security professionals to even identify attacks before they happen, probably providing them with the opportunity to manage and close existing vulnerabilities, for example, or even strengthen technical controls proactively. Then we go with the HyberNet. HyberNet is expected to provide the intelligence needed to perform effective and efficient analysis of security events. And this actually can be achieved with two different processes. The one is based on the information produced and extracted from itself, and the other analyzing the information and data derived from other CyberSANE components, such as LiveNet in our case, or darknet, for example. All this, of course, it tends to strengthen and significantly support the decision-making process, since security professionals are able to understand better the technical aspects of an attack and draw conclusion on how to respond and mitigate these attacks. Sorry. The next component is the CERNET. As already said, CERNET provides the necessary threat intelligence and information sharing capabilities of the critical infrastructure with external the organization parties. Because if we say that within the dashboard of the CyberSANE that you will see later on, all the members of the security team of the critical infrastructure will be able to share and view the information related with their organization, then probably external the organization parties that may support the decision-making process or support the mitigation action or the handling process of the incident may be aware of these incidents, of these anomalies or attack patterns identified within the critical infrastructure. So it is used, CERNET is used as a secure and privacy-oriented storage. As soon the data is received and created by all the different CyberSANE components, and there we can create policies required for sharing the content. Last but not least, we have the PrivacyNet. The PrivacyNet is very well connected with the CERNET component, and it is the component that undertakes the management and the orchestration of the application and the required privacy policy mechanisms, whatever is needed in order to be able to properly share data, anonymizing or encrypting specific information in this sharing process that the organization is not willing to reveal with these external parties. So we proceed with, sorry, give me 1 minute. So I will continue, sorry. We continue with the CyberSANE architecture. The CyberSANE architecture actually consists of several parts. You can see here different main system blocks are already designed and properly implemented in order to realize all the different CyberSANE services, mainly based on these 5 different CyberSANE components. So we start with the layer of the CyberSANE apps. We have the core CyberSANE system building blocks, the core system, the heart of our system. We have the CyberSANE ecosystem in which it is the environment where all different tools may be or are already integrated, providing additional services and additional functionalities to our platform. And of course, we can have third-party applications that may be integrated properly and provide even more additional services in the CyberSANE set list of services. So I will start very quickly, one by one, in presenting these main system blocks. Of course, our system implements the main dashboard. It is the dashboard where all different types of CyberSANE users, and these are security experts, the CyberSANE administrator, vendors and suppliers, at least these are the different types right now, are able to gain access on the CyberSANE services. So within the heart of our system, it is logical that we have implemented all the core services that are required in order to enable security professionals and security analysts to handle their incidents within their critical infrastructure. In front of we have the orchestration API, which acts as a single point entry of all connections with the business services, and this module also determines how all clients implement and interact with APIs through the use of policy. And of course, we have the policy enforcement module, the internal policy enforcement module, not the one in relation with privacy, for example, in which all related policy needs to be enforced in the system, disclosing this way that a CyberSANE module end users may interact with the different CyberSANE services. On top, you can see that in order to support all these different privileges, different user types, and so on, we implement a specific identity management module, which is needed to properly enhance the trust relationship among all the involved CyberSANE entities, and of course the different CyberSANE components within the same system. So on one hand, end users are able to administrate and control their identities through this component, and on the other hand, tools and systems within the CyberSANE ecosystem, or even outside the third-party applications, for example, are able to harmonize their authentication and authorization procedures. We proceed with a very critical component within our architecture. It is a component that we are focused a lot of how to build it and how to design it properly. This is the API management, or the adapter. Actually, for each one of the different CyberSANE components described previously, we implement a very specific adapter. So we have one adapter for the LiveNet, one adapter for the Darknet, one adapter for HybridNet, one for ShareNet, and one for the PrivacyNet. Through this API management, of course, as you can understand, we are able to distribute, control, and properly analyze the different APIs that allow us and the core platform to connect with the various CyberSANE application and tools. This is the CyberSANE ecosystem. As you can see right now, we have actual integration with all these different tools provided from the partners of the project. But the idea here is that every a new vendor or future vendor that wants to integrate and provide services within the CyberSANE system, he is able to properly integrate just by accepting and adopting the rules and the modeling provided from the different adapters mentioned previously. It is obvious that these tools come with their own built-in dashboards. So our try here, and in order to be able to implement an extensible platform, we don't want to replicate the dashboards that this tool brings on their own. So because the idea of the CyberSANE system is to be a meta tool. So for example, if we have a given CM behind the LiveNet component, we don't want to replicate the functionality of this CM. We just need to build upon and provide the security professional with an overview of the functionalities provided from this CM. Continue. We have another critical component. We have a queuing mechanism that allows CyberSANE to provide asynchronous communication protocol, putting messages onto one or more message queues and not require an immediate response to continue processing. This is also a very critical component for the proper integration of all the different tools reside in the CyberSANE ecosystem. And of course, we have the data storage components, either SQL database or non-SQL databases, in which all data processed and generated from the CyberSANE context reside on these databases for further processing. And of course, at the bottom, we can have and we have different infrastructure and support services. Speaking of logging mechanisms, auditing mechanisms, caching mechanisms, infrastructure monitoring mechanisms, and analytics on all this log data generated from our infrastructure. Last but not least, we have also the application gateway and the VPN gateway components. These are make our CyberSANE system more stable, especially for the application gateway, enabling utilizing implementing a proxy between the main dashboard and the core heart of our system, and with the VPN gateway we can provide an extra level of security with the integration of each one of the tools that reside on the CyberSANE ecosystem. And the analytics and monitoring, actually right now, this is where project partners and suppliers are capable to have insights about the CyberSANE platform, its services and audiences that couldn't be readily available without analytics. For example, Google Analytics. This is one more or less the full picture of the CyberSANE system. This was the initial design. This is what we follow in order to implement what you will see right now. I will stop my screen sharing right now in order to change screen. Are you able to see now my my dashboard? Yes. Okay. So the most important thing and the most difficult problem when dealing with the description of work of this project It was how to build a fine usage flow enabling the security professional and the security analyst to get advantage of the integration of all these different tools behind the 5 core CyberSANE components in order to properly take decisions based on the incident handling process. Therefore, we after a lot of research performed within the duration of the project, we ended and we finally adopted the NIST Computer Security Incident Handling Guide. According to this guide, the organization of an effective computer security incident response capability involves several major decisions and actions. And all these different actions and decisions are realized in 4 specific phases. The first one is the preparation phase. The second one is the detection and analysis phase. The third one is the containment, eradication, and recovery phase, and the post-incident activity phase. The preparation phase involves the establishment and training of all involved incident response teams, acquiring the necessary tools and resources. During this phase, the organization attempts to limit the number of incidents that will possibly occur by selecting and implementing a set of controls based on the results of a risk assessment. This is actually the core service provided within the preparation phase. We will see analytically later on. At the detection and analysis phase, we can understand that residual risk will persist even if controls are implemented properly at the preparation phase. So the detection of security breaches is necessary to alert the organization whenever incidents occur. So this is the core phase in which the CyberSANE easily contributes based on its concept, based on its list of tools that are already integrated. At the containment, eradication, and recovery phase, it is the time that the security professional and the critical infrastructure needs to take actions in order to mitigate or properly handle whatever is being identified at the detection and analysis phase. So at the CyberSANE context, we can only contribute on the containment phase. We don't have any services or tools for the actual eradication and recovery of an incident. Therefore, at this phase, we will see later on that the security professional and security analyst may gather in an organized manner all the evidences from the detection and analysis phase for further processing and further analysis in order to take actions for the eradication and recovery. A very critical phase is also the post-incident activity for the organization, because after the incident is properly handled or may mitigated, the organization needs to document the handling process till now and properly disseminate what is learned from this handling process. What went rightly, what error we identified on this handling process, so not to replicate on another handling process of a next security incident, attack pattern, or anomaly, for example. So this is the phase in which we provide an organized manner for building and documenting all the evidences from all above different phases. And it is the phase in which the organization, if it wills, he can share whatever it likes or it prefers with external the organization parties. We will go through the preparation phase. We will focus on the preparation phase for a little, since for the detection and analysis phase, you will be able to see at the actual pilot later on the results and how the security professional uses and get advantage of the different CyberSANE services implemented in these phases. So at the preparation phase, the first requirement here is for the critical organization to build the internal security teams. So what the CyberSANE provides is the capability of creating, registering all the different contacts within the organization that are not users of these platform. So by registering all the different members of the security team internally the organization, you will be able later to create alerts for these contacts. Automatically, the CyberSANE system, upon identifying a security incident or an anomaly or an attack, all these different contacts may receive or not, depending on the willing of the administrator, to receive automatic alerts and notifications. At the same approach, you can also register and be aware and have the full list of all external contacts that may support the incident handling process within the organization. So you can have easily all the contacts involved on the incident handling process, either internally the organization or outside the organization. Going one step further, the organization is able to build the full inventory of the digital assets within the organization. So with an easy approach, you can create as many different assets as the organization prefers in order to be included on this monitoring process. You can set several attributes for defining the digital asset within the critical infrastructure. You can set the name, the category, the run privileges of the asset, the asset IP, the business value within the organization of this asset. It is very critical, and it will be considered later on the calculation of the risk assessment. You can also set the vendor, the product, and the version of the asset. With this approach, we are able to identify the exact common platform enumeration number, and we append to open repositories in order to automatically identify vulnerabilities for this asset. So the security professional is aware of the status of its assets within the organization without even detecting anything on real time. And of course, you can set all the relationship of this asset, of this new asset, with existing assets within the organization. Upon performing this process, you can have easily the big picture of your inventory, not only in terms of what is registered individually, but also with the relationship one asset with the other. All these graphs are interactive, so upon clicking on a given asset, you can see that, for example, I select the MongoDB, I can see the footprint of this MongoDB, I can see that already several vulnerabilities and threads are already identified for this asset, so I'm aware of this, of what is going on. For example, I can see that all these different list of threads are related with specific vulnerabilities for this asset, and with this function, I can see, you can see later on that I can build specific attack scenarios that need to be included in my risk assessment process. Of course, I can set controls, because upon registering an asset and I automatically identify the vulnerabilities of this asset, I can say that, okay, but I have implemented a very specific control for this vulnerability or for this thread, and this does not affect me, more or less. So you can easily create as many controls as you like and connect them with specific vulnerabilities and threads. By doing this, the specific vulnerabilities and threads connected with a specific control will be excluded from the risk assessment process, obviously. The system automatically also brings a huge list of vulnerabilities. These vulnerabilities are taken from the NIST repository, from the open NIST repository, Vulnerabilities Management Database. And as you can see, we have already more than 100,000 vulnerabilities already registered in our repository. You can set one or more threads, specific threads that probably affects one or more assets within your organization. Again, it is very easy, the process of registering a new thread. And the most important thing here is to interrelate threads with given vulnerabilities with specific organizational assets. So this we call attack scenarios. The building process of creating attack scenarios. One more capability that we offer to the security professional is to define the risk appetites. By risk appetite, we mean the likelihood, the probability of occurrence of a given thread. So when you will properly define the list of threads within your organization, you can come here and set the probability of occurrence. What you see here is very real. These are taken from the Mitre threat list. So we adapt the probability as defined from the CAPEC Mitre threat list. But of course, for each organization, this is very configurable. For example, the security professional can say that, okay, I know that I'm threatening from, example, manipulating web input in file system calls, but in my case, this is not happen very often, and it is very low, for example. This is, of course, as you can understand, this all configuration will be taken into account when performing a real risk assessment. And this is one of them. Let us go and see what is the output of a risk assessment at the preparation phase. We, when performing a risk assessment, we provide many different perspectives of analyzing the output of a risk assessment. First of all, we can see again the status of the inventory within the critical infrastructure, but now we can color each one of the assets based on the risk level of this asset. For example, you can see with yellow the assets that are in risk level medium, with red the assets that are with risk level high, and with black the assets with risk level very high, for example, and with gray with no risk level identified for these assets. Again, these graphs are interactive, so you can go one step further in detail and give and see the real status of this asset. So for this asset, for example, you can see that I have a heat map with the vulnerability impact and the threat probability, and upon selecting in one of them cells, you can see also the very specific threat with its probability and the very specific related vulnerability with its impact. So all these are performed automatically upon completing the initial configuration. The idea here is you perform all these set of services and actions and configuration before putting the detection and analysis phase in operation. But even when the detection and analysis that we will see later on and more concretely on the operation of the actual pilot, you can see that based on the events identified from the detection and analysis phase, for example, you keep seeing the same security incident for the same asset. So you can come back here at the preparation phase. You can set a new thread that you weren't aware before of this thread. You can probably change the probability of occurrence for given threads based on the real evidence this time, and perform again a new risk assessment in order to be more concrete on the results, because now you are relying on real evidences. This is the idea. So at the detection and analysis phase, this is already said that this is the phase in which most of the tools integrated and most of the components supported from the CyberSANE context may contribute. So what we can see here, we can see a huge number of anomalies, a number of security incidents identified already, a number of attack patterns probably, and so on. So the security analyst is able to visit and see in real time the number of anomalies, attack patterns, and security incidents identified within the organization, and go one step further and see in detail which are these incidents, for example. So you can see a big list of security incidents with their description, their severity, their timestamp, the product that generate this security incident. So the security analyst probably wants to visit the dashboard of this product in order to get more details on the status of these security incidents. But even here, we have a very concrete analysis of the security incident with several attributes provided from the tools behind, integrated with the CyberSANE core. So you can see the very details of the security incident regarding a very specific asset within the critical organization. Of course, as previously described, we can further analyze the status and the number of security incidents already identified. So through these graphs, the security professional is able to quickly get a full idea and a full view of the status of the critical infrastructure. This is very similar with the attack patterns and the anomalies. For example, again, this is the list of anomalies with description, severity, timestamp, product that identified this anomaly, the full detail of this anomaly, and so on. And again, analysis for this list of anomalies by month, whatever the security incidents the security professional wants to quickly and properly and efficiently take the proper decision. So the security incidents and the attack patterns comes from the LiveNet component, while the list of anomalies come from the HyperNet component. These are all merged in one dashboard, providing and building more advanced services for security professionals and security experts. One step further, upon gathering these evidences, we said that we provide in this dashboard, in the same dashboard, in the same environment, the capability to security professional to further investigate the real evidences that gathered for the critical infrastructure. So by visiting the Deep Web Threat Intelligence module, the darknet actually, the security professional is able, first of all, to see the reputation of his organization in the deep and dark web. As you can see, for the Valenciaport Foundation, there are no identified articles or discussions within the deep and dark web right now. We can see that the crawling mechanism has already searched for a huge number of articles, and I can search very specific articles based on categories, keywords, and so on. For example, if I want to see cyber attacks for DDoS and DOS attacks within a specific period, I can see that there are several articles in the deep and dark web that probably may help me to see what is being discussed in relation with these keywords that I have placed. I can see also the different sources in which these articles are published, and better be prepared on how later on to take decisions for eradication and recovery from these incidents that I have in my critical infrastructure. Of course, we are also implement several graphs, and we perform a further analysis on these articles by giving the hot cyber concepts in text right now, based on the crawling and searching mechanism implemented behind Darknet. We can see the cyber concepts and critical score in text. We can have a graph with the different sources and the URLs used for publishing these cyber concepts. We can also see the number of crawled URLs per date. We can also have a huge heat map with these URLs and the cyber concepts and the score for each one of them. So, of course, all this dashboard and all these graphs and all this analysis performed is for security analysts and security professionals. And actually, the whole CyberSANE dashboard is intended and it provides services for these roles. A usual organizational user cannot understand what to do based on these facts and these evidences gathered from the different CyberSANE components. We can have also attack cloud and concept graphs based on the crawling mechanism and the research performed in the deep and dark web, and why not graph analytics and graph significance. I don't want to bother you a lot with all these different perspectives of analysis of these graphs. What we can do also is to provide, again, at the same environment, the capability to security analysts and security professionals to search at the open web for specific articles. For example, if I am choosing the category cyberspace and the concept cybercrime, I can see related articles published with these keywords, have the full list of the article in my dashboard, the very specific sources that this article is published, and so on, other keywords and the date of publishment, and so on. So again, we try to give all the required information to the security professional and the security analyst to stay on this dashboard, to gather all the information required in this dashboard and properly take quick decisions for specific incidents and events identified in its infrastructure. At the containment, eradication and recovery, as said before, what we can provide here is to fully support the containment phase, not the eradication and not the recovery, since we don't have any implemented services or even tools behind the CyberSANE components that can actually provide functionalities for these concepts. So what we can do here, the security professional, upon gathering all these different evidences, he can create strategies. Strategies for eradication and recovery by specifying specific organizational assets or not. This is optional. Specific controls or not. Optional. Specific threats within the organization or not. Specific vulnerabilities, anomalies, security incidents, or attack patterns. And by documenting these strategies, this can be easily shared with all the organizational and users and the security team in order to properly take actions on the mitigation of the identified events. One more significant and important capability that we provide within this phase is the simulation environment. And with this simulation environment, what we try to provide is the following. We easily provide an environment for enabling security professionals and security analysts to build attack scenarios. So, for example, assuming that I have this list of assets in my organization and I want to see if the Node.js asset will be the target, the entry point of an attacker, and my critical asset right now is, for example, Ubuntu, which is the operating system of my of the whole system that I want to protect, and the attacker skill is high. By giving an execution time also, because as you can understand, if you have a huge number of assets within your organization, the identification of possible attack paths may bring a big list of possible attacks. I can generate this scenario that I have already built, and I can see that there are 4 possible attack paths. 2 of them are successful, and 2 of them are not successful. For example, let us see the first attack path. We can see that the system automatically identified that the attacker will hit the Node.js. The attacker will be able to exploit this vulnerability, and the description of the vulnerability is this. In order to gain access on this asset and then go to the next asset which is connected with this asset and is actually our target asset, and upon reaching and hitting and attacking at this asset, he will be able to explore also this vulnerability and be owner and gain access of this target asset. If this is feasible or not, it is something that the security professional will decide based on the algorithms that are already implemented behind this mechanism and the list of security incidents already gathered for these assets, the anomalies already gathered and identified for these assets, and the attack patterns for these assets. So this is another important tool at the hands of the security professional and the security analyst to decide if this attack may probably occur within the critical infrastructure. And at the post-incident activity, here, assuming that I have taken and I have completed all the actions regarding the eradication and recovery of the incidents identified in the detection and analysis phase, I'm coming at the post-incident activity, and I can build 1 or more lessons learned with specific reference. The number of assets that participated in the identification process. I want probably to anonymize the internal IP of the asset, because this is something that I don't want to make public or to share it with another organization. So I'm able to properly define 1 or more privacy policies on the exact attributes, of assets, of security incidents, of anomalies and attack patterns, and this privacy policy will be automatically be applied on the sharing process. So I can come back, and upon creating a lesson learned, okay, where am I? Upon creating a new lesson learned, I can easily share this lesson learned and select the proper data sharing agreement for this lesson learned. Of course, as horizontal services, what we can provide is the management of the user profile. Each user that gains access on this dashboard has its own profile, which can be easily configured. Of course, change password, forget password, and so on. We can have also the organizational profile in order to automatically also search for the reputation of the organization in the deep and dark web. Of course, the organization management with all the list of different users of the organization and their role. And another important capability that we perform automatically or on demand is that daily we performed a search in the deep and dark web if the email of an internal contact and user within the organization is breached in the deep and dark web. For example, you can see that all these different emails are not no breach identified for these email addresses, but for this we identified a breach, and we can see the exact information for this email in the organization. Actually, that's all from my side. Should you have any question, whatever you need to ask, I will be happy to answer all of your questions.
If not, you can also write them in the chat, and we can answer at the end if you have further questions.
So I will stop sharing, and we can proceed with the agenda.
Yes. Good morning. I'm Pablo Jimenez from Fundación Valenciaport. And now we are going to see the details of the demonstration that we are going to run just after this presentation. Let me start introducing the application that we are going to use for deploying CyberSANE platform and for testing their capabilities. This application is based on an international regulation, which requires that the containers that are going to be loaded in a vessel have a verified gross mass. This application is called Compeso, and it is an electronic platform used for exchanging information among all the companies that are involved in the container weight. You can see here the details of this platform. You can see that we have a MongoDB database. We have the front-end and back-end code with different technologies. We have also a notification tool. All of these components are deployed in Docker containers, and also within Rancher, which is an implementation of Kubernetes. As you can see, all these tools are the ones that Hans already presented and are included in the platform as all the assets of this organization. Then the companies that are involved can access this information through the front end or connect their systems through an API. After that, we have deployed the CyberSANE platform. Within this, in the same server that we have this application, we have deployed the HybridNet and one component for LiveNet, which are monitoring in real time this server and are sending the information to the core CyberSANE platform, where we have deployed the core components as we have seen in the training session. Now I'm going to show you the two scenarios that we have defined in order to demonstrate the capabilities of CyberSANE. The first one is fraudulent modification of a container weight. In this case, cyber attackers are going to access the BGM services in order to modify a container weight. For instance, they can do that, or they are willing to do that because they are going to introduce a big explosive artifact in a container through the port. And in order to avoid controls, they want to reduce the weight which is registered. For that, first, attackers are going to install a malware in the BGM technician laptop in order to gain access to that computer. And they are going to do that through a spoofing email that are going to send to this technician. This is going to be detected by LiveNet, the malware installation of this malware. And after that, the security expert is also going to look for information about this kind of malware and share the incident with other organizations. Then the attackers are going to use the access of this compromised laptop in order to have the access to the BGM server through an exploit. And LiveNet is going to detect the usage of that exploit. Finally, the attackers are going to use the access to that BGM application to modify the weight. And in this case, HybridNet is going to detect the access from an unknown IP. I think that before going to the explanation of the second scenario, we can run the first one. So you are more aware of it. So let's start the real demonstration. So as I said, the attackers are going to send an email to the technician in order to gain access to the computer. If we go to the email, I already have an email from a person I trust. And if I follow the indications he provides in the email, I'm going to open the attached file. And once I do that, the malware is installed in my computer. Now the security expert is going to access the platform. And in the detection and analysis phase, if we go to the security incidents, we are going to see a new security incident, which is from 1 minute ago, which is the malware detection, detected by Gloria and with critical severity. And if we go to the details, we can see all the information, which is going to be explained by Sergio.
Yes, thank you. This is Sergio Zamaripa. I'm the responsible for the LiveNet, and as you can see in the picture in the screen, this is sent by the LiveNet. It is detected by one CM, that in this case is Gloria, and this Gloria is a LiveNet tool. So the idea for integrating it is that we only had to have an adapter with a CyberSANE core. And In this case, the incident is about malware detection. In this case, as a Turla crash command and control, so the attacker in this case would be able to take control of the machine thanks to this malware. So the idea is that the user can be able to access to it. And apart from that, as you can see in the CyberSANE recommendations, the idea here is that the CyberSANE is able to make a recommendation. This is an added value for the integration with LiveNet tools and ECM with CyberSANE in order to provide this kind of CyberSANE recommendations. In this case, will be to block the attack detected on the edge devices. And if this cannot be done, we have to block the attacker's IP address. And if it's vulnerable, check the operation and the application or existing known vulnerabilities and apply corrective measures. If finally anything of this is not possible, then you have to isolate the machine and review other suspicious activity that the attacker might have performed on the asset, because now the attacker can have control of the server from outside. Okay. So that's the contextualization of the incident. And maybe I can show the LiveNet now. Okay. I'm going to show my screen. And what has happened in this case is that we can go to the LiveNet and we can have the one stream for the CyberSANE pilot. And here we see once Pablo opened the Excel sheet, it was produced traffic in the network, and having our NIDS that you saw in the architecture, that's a monitor agent that is getting a poor mirror of the traffic, and thanks to this NIDS, in this case Suricata, it has detected the IPS with an event category of Trojan activity, and it has detected that it is indeed a ET Trojan Turla crash command and control. Once this is done, this goes to Gloria, which is one of the LiveNet tools, and is able to be detected by event correlation rules. And finally, what we can see is that here we have detected in the moment it has produced this malware detection in the LiveNet. And this is what we see in the LiveNet. And this is what is also automatically sent to the CyberSANE core, also with a recommendation. This recommendation is based on this knowledge database. In this case, it has sent what is recommended in our database for the type of attack we have detected. So that's what you saw. This is the LiveNet, and you can see that is connected to the CyberSANE core, having added value to this CyberSANE recommendation, explaining to the security analyst on what happened, which IP address is the one from the attacker, and the type of security incident we faced.
Okay, thank you, Sergio. Now, the security officer, after detecting the malware, is going to look for information related with this kind of attack. So it can go to the Open Web Threat Intelligence tool and look for the Turla malware, for instance, and make a search. And we can see that we find an article from 2 weeks ago about an attack. And we can see that this is an example of an article with this kind of attack. We can see also that related with this attack is also several times used other kind of attacks that is the same that we are going to see today in this demonstration. Maybe Mater, you can explain how it works.
Yeah, sure. So behind, I hope you can hear me. So behind that component is the event registry tool, which is constantly monitoring media and collecting the published articles. And then from articles, we perform some analysis. So we extract the concepts, keywords, and so on. Currently, on the if you will be able to look at the event registry tool, you will be able to see that there is around 1,000 and something, almost 2,000 articles regarding Turla and malware. But this part is not completely implemented into the CyberSANE. However, then you can do some analysis and, for instance, word cloud concepts and so on, and analysis of these articles which publish the information about this Turla malware can clearly give the professional the information that this is connected to cyber espionage and so on. So it helps the cybersecurity professional to quickly identify what kind of threat it is, and if he needs some more information about that, he can then go to the identified articles and read more information about that.
Okay, thank you. Now the security expert, as it is a critical incident, is going to share that information with other organizations that could be attacked. For that, we are going to go to the post-incident activity, and we are going to create a new lesson learned and based on a data sharing agreement. So, Lexi, you can show it.
Yes, good morning, everyone. I hope you can hear me. Let me share the screen. Okay, can you see the screen and the dashboard?
Yes.
Okay, so if we will go to post-incident activity, as you mentioned before, we can create a lesson learned by using the buttons, name it malware detection. So here we can add a description like a malware detection from LiveNet and so on. Here we can also specify assets, controls, threats, and as an asset we will use the VGM server. Then define the incident, and this is the one that has been discussed previously. And once we are done, we can save it. Now this lesson learned has been created, and in order to share it, we will use data sharing agreements. So let's see how we can create or edit the existing data sharing agreement. Under this section, we have already created one data sharing agreement called Valenciaport Foundation DSA, and it is available in order to be used with the lesson learned. We can click it and also edit in order to add or remove some data of that. As we can see, this DSA can be used by two organizations, namely CNR and Valenciaport Foundation. So in this case, the users or security analysts from these two organizations can attach this data sharing agreement to the lesson learned in order to use it. So we have a set of authorization rules. The first authorization rule allows subjects, or in other words, users from organization CNR and organization Valenciaport Foundation, as it is shown here, to upload data to the ShareNet. And the second authorization rule allows the same users to download data from the ShareNet. Also, we have a third authorization rule that states that a user from organization CNR can export data to MISP platform, and I will show you this in next seconds. So a part of that, as mentioned by Thanos, we also have a set of obligations, and in our case we have two obligation rules that basically says that once a subject requests data to be released to him, the system must anonymize assets by invoking the privacy-net component. Also, the second obligation says once the user requests data to be exported to MISP platform, it should be the incidents must be anonymized as well. We also have two other obligations that basically are used in order to notify users about the fact that the data has been exported or created. So let's remove this obligation, and I will show you how we can create it. So the policy can be created as the follows. So stating that after a subject exports a data, then a system must notify user using the reference. We say that the system must notify user about the fact that the data has been created and exported. So in this case, we will specify my personal email address so that he will see it, the notification. Here we go. Okay, so once we are done, we can review the policy and complete the DSA. Then the DSA has the status as completed, but in order to make it available, we need to map this DSA. So the status will change to the available one. And if we will go back to the post-incident activity and we decided to share or to upload the lesson learned, we will be able to select one or multiple DSAs. This DSAs has been defined by other users, also allowing us, the users from Valenciaport Foundation, to use it. However, we will use the one that we defined previously. So once we select the DSA and upload the information to the ShareNet, we will have the response that states that with this DSA, we have the specific ID of the lesson learned uploaded to the ShareNet. So if we will go to ShareNet interface, we can see that we can perform research using that ticket, that ID called DPO ID. The DPO states for the data protected object. So, and once we do this, we can either download or export the DPO. So since I log in as the user from CNR, I can easily download this lesson learned. However, if I will open it, and just give me a second, if we will open it and we will go to the section of assets, we can see that the name of the asset has been anonymized by invoking the privacy-net. And once we request the system to export data, the data will be exported to the MISP instance of the CyberSANE project. So it needs to be, we have to wait a bit. So here, if we will go to the CyberSANE project MISP, we will refresh the page, and we can see that the new lesson learned has been uploaded as the MISP event. And if we will check the values here, we can see that this event has been uploaded here, and the values, the IP values of the destination of the machine or the PC has been anonymized by invoking the privacy net. Also, we have a link to the original version of the data, so that if we will need some extensive description of this event, we can always access it, and the ShareNet will control if we can download this. And as I mentioned, we received the notification, so here we can also download it. We also can use the DPO ID in order to perform search operation on the lesson learned that has been uploaded to ShareNet. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Now, attackers are going to use the access for that compromised laptop in order to hack the access to the VGM server. So, using the exploit is going to be detected by LiveNet. So, if we go to the security incidents, we are going to see a new incident. Maybe it takes some.
It has been detected, but it takes a little time, I guess.
Let's wait 1 minute in order to have it. Okay, now it's here. So we have now the security incident called exploit usage that is also critical. It's from Gloria, and you can see also the details. Sergio?
Sure. I'm going to share my screen to show you what happened. In this case, this is once the attacker is inside of the organization, thanks to the previous malware. Then the user is trying to access to the VGM solution, the server, and what it's going to do is to try to exploit a Log4Java vulnerability, which is one of the more criticals that we have faced in the last month. And the way the attacker is going to is trying to do so, and we have detected with the LiveNet, is by trying to connect through JNDI to the Log4Java module in the server. So this with this attack, he is able to execute code remotely thanks to this Log4Java vulnerability, and now it's able to insert his code, his Java code, as part of the execution of the VGM solution. At the end, what he succeeds is to be able to have the way to connect to the server finally, because he is able to include other malware in the VGM server, and be able also, as you will see in the coming steps, to log into the machine. Okay. I'm giving the floor to Pablo.
Yes, we can see the details of the incident, which is an exploit, and all the information that just Sergio explained, with the type of attack, and also the recommendation.
Yes, in this case, the recommendation based on the LiveNet is to identify the attack origin and its contact information, and try to identify the attacked asset. In this case, is the VGM server, and also to check the attack type. In this case, is a Log4j, and what the security analyst has to ensure is that the attack resource is not vulnerable. But if it's vulnerable, he has to check the application operation, and probably isolate the application. If they don't do so, then the next steps that Pablo is going to explain can be produced. Okay, so the attacker can access to the server.
With this attack, attackers are going to get the application credentials from the server in order to modify the container weight. As I said, that it could be done for instance, hide a heavy bomb inside a container. So if we go to the Compeso application, now we are able to log in with the credentials. And if we go to the request of that container, we can access to the data where we can see all the details of that request to be weight. And we have also here the information from the scale operator, which is providing the weight. So we can reduce that weight, and we will see that the final BGM is going to be reduced again also. So if we save it, okay, now that action is going to be detected by Hibernate because it's going to be done from an unknown IP. So now Alejandro is going to explain how it works, Hibernate.
Yeah, let me share my screen. Yeah. Hello, everyone. Thank you, Pablo. I will show you how the asset live anomaly detection system try to detect any strange behavior on a certain network. Well, I have already started the deployment of the asset because it takes a bit of time. For that, I use the command docker compose app. In this case, we are using the Valenciaport Foundation server. We're capturing all the traffic here. We can see that the asset has 3 different containers, the softload, the MongoDB, and the LEDS. The softload is an implementation of NetFlow. It is a protocol developed by Cisco, and it allows us to capture the network traffic. MongoDB is the database where we save the data used for training the algorithm, and the LEDS is the brain of the asset. I'm going to show you the log of it to see what is happening in there. Oh, yes, the anomaly detected. Here we can see that the LEDS is waiting to receive the network traffic that is captured by Softflow. After that, the LEDS will train a deep learning algorithm called autoencoder. It must be trained using only normal traffic that doesn't contain any attacks. It is really important because the algorithm learns about the network traffic, and then it tried to identify differences in the network. The algorithm is able to see differences in the number of bytes, number of packets, if the protocol are different, or if the connection was done with an external IP. That is in this case, that is easily detected by the asset. Now the asset is in the prediction mode, and it's making the prediction with all the traffic that is capturing by Softflow. Here we can see those anomalies, and Pablo, maybe we can share them the CyberSANE platform because that anomalies will be sent in there. And maybe Pablo, we can share your screen.
Yes, share it. That let me red hunting. That anomalies are going to be detected and sent to the platform, and we can see that 2 minutes ago we received a new anomaly. We are receiving several of them because as we were making some actions in the Compeso application, we received some anomalies. So if we open one of it, we can see all the details of this detection. We can see that this is a web access. We have that event detected with the time zone. We have the details of that anomaly. That is an unknown IP accessing the application, and also the product and the bank. So with this, we finish our first scenario. I'm going to explain you the second one, and we can also run it in real time. So let me go back to the presentation. In this case, we want to stop part of the port activity through the disruption of the BGM services. So what the attackers are going to do is disable from inside of the server some of the services in order to stop it. And for that, we're going to start with a disgruntled employee that is going to publish the credentials in a forum in dark web. And that is going to be detected by Darknet as an email breach because the credentials and the password are published. Then once the attackers use that credentials for accessing the server, the login is going to be detected by LiveNet because it is in a blacklist, and also by HybridNet because it's done from an unknown IP. As before, we are going to share the incident through server. Then attackers are going to cause an error, disable the services, and as it is a critical service, LiveNet is going to detect the shutdown. And finally, the attacker is going to delete all the logs and evidences of his attack, and LiveNet is going to be detecting that removal of log file. So we can go now to the platform again. And as I said, a disgruntled employee is going to publish that their credentials in the web, in the dark web. So if we go to the main dashboard or to the user management section, we can see, as Fan saw before, that we have had an email breach in our security expert email account. And Sofia is going to explain it, how it works.
Okay, hello. I will explain how this works.
Okay.
So we start by taking the email address and we check for stolen credentials and pawned email accounts. And if we found any breach that the specific email address is registered in this breach tab or service, then we indicate this email with true. This is what we do in high level.
Okay, thank you. Now attackers are going to use that credential. So if we go here, we can connect to the server. Okay, we are inside the server. And this login is going to be detected, as I said, by two of our components. First, by LiveNet is going to generate a new security incident. So if we go to the platform again and we go to the section of security incidents, we have the login detected from Gloria just now. So Sergio?
Yes, thank you. In this case, the login has been detected by the LiveNet as well. I will show you how. And if we go here, check. Yeah, we see here the previous exploit that you show, and now the login detected at this moment. In this case, with all the details with the login, in this case the CyberSANE VLC user that you showed, with all the information, this has been detected thanks to the OSEC agent, and it's also with all the information. In this case, it has detected a login, and also not only a login because that would be normal, but it's a login from a blacklisted IP address. In this case, the way to do so is thanks to the LiveNet. In this case, to one of the tools that includes the possibility to add blacklist IPs. And in this case, the IP address, this IP address that you see, is now currently blacklisted, and there's a use case in the LiveNet tool to stress that fact. And this is also reported as a security incident to the CyberSANE, as you saw with the information from Pablo.
Yes, we can see here all the details of this security incident. We have here the details of the login in the server, and we have also, as before, the recommendation in order to block that communication.
Yeah, usually in this case is to block the blacklisted IP address to avoid this kind of incidents.
As I said, that login is also be detected by HybridNet. So if we go to the anomaly detection list, we will see just 2 minutes ago that we have a new anomaly detected. And as before, we have an authentication, access detected, and also all the details from an unknown access IP from this LADS component. So finally, this security officer is going to share the incident for avoiding that the same attack in other infrastructure. So if we go again to the post-incident activity, we are going to create a new lesson learned. In this case, we are going to call it compromised credentials, and we are going to include a description of what happened, and also we're going to include the recommendation in order to have an action to do. We are going to include the asset, the security incident, this last one, login detected, and also the anomaly. And we are going to save it. As before, we are going now to use the data sharing agreement. We're going to map it. Okay, and now, as before, we are able to export this lesson learned and share it through the MISPs. Okay, now we are going to follow with the scenario. The attackers, as I explained, are going to stop one of the BGM services. In this case, we are going to stop the Docker service. As you have seen, all these components are deployed in Docker, so it will stop the application. This is easily to recover, but attackers with that credentials are going to be able to remove the containers, delete the data from the database, so they can do several actions to stop the application. Okay, now the service stopped. That shouldn't work now.
Yeah, you have it there.
Loaded. And if we go back to the security incidents, we can see the service shut down.
Yes, in this case, it's a severity medium because it is not related with directly by itself, but with a security incident. But it's since it was a previously detected login with a blacklisted IP from the same asset, then the incident has been detected. And the CyberSANE recommendation says that they have to review if the host has been affected by a denial of service attack, which is the case. And if it's affected, the security analyst should investigate the origin of the attack. In this case, it's quite easy from the contextualized information that the LiveNet has provided to the CyberSANE core, because they have the previous elements with the same asset, in this case with the login detected. So the origin of the attack is this login, and also it's able to do so based on the previous information. The recommendation is to block any communication with such origin and in the company firewall to avoid from the attacker to provide more harm to the assets of the organization, in this case from the Valenciaport Foundation.
Okay. And now attackers, in order to remove the evidences of the attack, are going to delete the access log file. So if we come back to here, we can see that this file, it's including all the connections to the server from this user. So what we are going to do is remove that file. Okay, so now we don't have any idea of who has do that. So as this is a quite relevant file, it's going to be detected by LiveNet as a new security incident. So we have here the logs elimination, which is as a severity high and also detected by Glory. And if we open the details, Sergio?
Yeah, in the details, you can see that the recommendation is to review the path of the file. In this case, the path of the file is also in the CyberSANE in the file path normalized attribute, which is /log auth.log. And the purpose of the file path reveals that the purpose of the possible attacker is to remove any hint on who did the service shutdown previously, and what he's trying to do is, of course, to perform a removal of attack sources evidences. And finally, showing the LiveNet, you can see here also that the logs, all three elements, the login, the shutdown, and the logs elimination or not authorized file deletion, is also having all the details from the LiveNet. And also a good extract of this is shown to the CyberSANE core to have the final recommendation. This recommendation is made taking into account the knowledge database of the LiveNet, which for not authorized file deletion, what provides the solution of that you just saw, and that's the one that has been automatically sent from the LiveNet to the CyberSANE core. Okay.
Thank you. Before finishing, I'm going to show you one of the capabilities that you have seen in the training. We don't need to be connected to the platform in real time to see all the incidents. We can create alerts and notifications. In this case, we already created one for our security expert, which is notifying all the security incidents with critical and high severity, and also the anomalies with critical and high severity. And this information is going to be sent to these two users. So if we go back to the email, we can see all the security incidents and anomalies that has been detected during this demonstration. And if we open one of them, we can see that we are able to see all the details that we already see in the platform. So that's all for this demonstration. Now we have the Q&A session if you have any question. Edward? We cannot hear you.
Hello, is it better?
Yeah, no.
Sorry, I was talking to myself there for a second. So yes, now we'll begin the Q&A session. I'm going to be sharing in the chat a link to a Google Forms, or it's the CyberSANE questionnaire that we ask you to fill in regarding a few information about yourself and what you understood from the presentation, how it will apply to your situation, all this for statistical purposes anyway. So that being said, thank you all to everyone who have presented today. We have already had a question in the chat that was has been responded. So thank you to Matej and Danos for responding there. So if anyone has any questions, now is the time. You can either ask it directly or put it in the chat, and I will forward it to the other participants. Don't forget, there are no wrong questions, of course. Anything is always interesting to ask, whether it's regarding the presentation, the CyberSANE system, or the pilot event itself. Please do not hesitate.
Maybe, Matteo, you can explain the question from Turku, although you have already explained it in the chat.
Sorry, yeah, I think I explained it in the chat. So the question was whether you can, so I remember whether you can search any keyword or just specific keywords. So yes, you can use any keyword. You can search in the article body or article title, but you can also use the concepts. So in example, I gave 2 screenshots in the chat. For instance, I tried to search for a keyword Turla and the concept malware. And there is 2 examples of analysis in that published. What are articles actually telling about? So in one case, you can see the tech cloud, and it's words like Kaspersky ransomware, firmware, moonbounce, and so on. And the other is the categories about of articles mentioning this concept. And for instance, we can see that 20% of the articles is mentioning this keyword and concept is talking about society issues and terrorism. So here you can see the concepts and the keywords that these search terms are connected to.
Matej, sorry to interrupt, but I'm not seeing anything. Maybe the others aren't as well.
No, I wasn't. Well, I can show you. I can share my screen. Just a moment. I hope you can see my screen now.
Now it's good.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So here is a list of articles, Turla malware, and you can see concepts. You can see Russia, software, server, computing, security, hacker, and so on. For instance, tech cloud is also could be interesting. The concept graph, so you can quickly see what are concepts mentioned in the articles, and well, maybe this one, article categories. So you can hear, you can see, for instance, articles talking about society, government, intelligence, foreign ministries, and so on. However, maybe I didn't explain that before. We are doing analysis on articles in different languages. For instance, here you can see that the majority of articles were published in English, but also in German, in Russian, in French, Chinese, and so on. Yeah, that's the idea behind this tool.
Thank you for taking the time to re-explain that. Has that assisted any further questions from people, either on this certain aspects of what has just been presented, or other elements from any of the components, the integration, the functionality? I take it that since no one has any questions, that everything is understood and everything is perfect. That's always good to hear. I myself have one small question which I may be able to open up to further discussion, in particular regarding the crawling of the deep and the dark web. Now, I know the idea is that, for example, as you presented earlier on, Pablo, when if there's a malicious, disgruntled partner who shares information on the deep and dark web, email addresses, login, etc., is there a specific delay after which between this information being published and it being detected by the CyberSANE system itself?
I think, George, you can answer that question.
Yes. Can you repeat? Can you say again the question?
Yes, it was related to how the reaction regarding the darknet system functions. For example, something published on the forum of the deep or dark web, disgruntled employee publishing login information. Is there an average delay between this information being published and CyberSANE, of course, detecting it and bringing it to the attention of the security personnel?
Okay, probably there's delay because it is difficult to crawl in every URL in the dark web, because it's not like the normal internet that we know. It's different protocols. It's with we start by crawling some URLs and then we expand our search and hopefully we found some information. It's very difficult to crawl all the dark web. So yes, there may be a delay.
Are there any sort of areas that are, so we say, crawled in particular? So we have priority areas that are analyzing. I understand, of course, everything is quite vast, so getting everything in real time is very difficult. But are there certain areas that are analyzed in priority or sort of more targeted by the crawling?
Yes, we give a priority to URLs that have that are a category with cyber attack. For example, if we find a URL that is a forum where there are many sensitive information, then we have a high score for this URL and we search this kind of URLs. For example, if this forum has any other links to other URLs, then we will prioritizing our search to those URLs in order to find something else. Is this okay?
Yes, thank you. That's okay. That's just what I wanted to. Yeah, thank you very much. Is anyone else have any further questions either regarding what I just what we just heard or anything else? Does any member of the CyberSANE team which presented something today have anything further they wish to clarify or share with all participants at this point?
No, from my side.
Not from my side either.
Mine too.
Well, in that case, if no one else has anything to add or any further questions.
Maybe I can add a small thing just to stress the fact that, as you saw in the different scenarios, of course, we were providing information, valuable information in the CyberSANE scenario. So I would like to stress the fact that in every step, the attack could have been blocked, avoiding from other steps to be produced, following the CyberSANE recommendations. That's why we stress the fact that we provide CyberSANE recommendations to be able to fix and mitigate easily as soon as we detect from the LiveNet sending to the CyberSANE core. Of course, for scenario purposes, we are understanding that the security analyst is not following the recommendation, and that's why the other steps are done. So that's the comment I want to stress. Of course, if the first recommendation, once the malware detection is performed, the server is isolated and the other elements cannot be produced. But of course, the other steps are for demonstration and for the scenario purposes. That's the only thing I want to stress. Thank you.
Thank you for clearing up that point. So one last time, final call. Any further questions, remarks? If not, in that case, George, Pablo, I yield back to you.
Yes, only to say thank you very much to all of you for attending this pilot event. You can contact us through our social media or website in case you have other questions. And we will publish the recording of this session soon. Yes, and only please try to complete the evaluation questionnaire that we shared, as it's really important for us to have feedback from you in order to improve our platform.
Okay, thank you very much for everyone attending the pilot today and for the persons that executed the pilot successfully today. So I believe we can end for now, Pablo and Edwards, right?
Yes.
Okay, all have a good day. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Very much.
Thank you.
Thank
Have a
you.
good day.
Bye.
Thank you all.
Have a good day.
Bye bye.
Bye guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Great presentation. Bye.